Welcome back to the Electric Drum right here on 94.3 WYBC. We are the rhythm of the city. I am Wanda Coppage. I have a wonderful guest here with me tonight. Can't wait to delve into this conversation. I'm sure you're familiar with him. His name is Jason Watts. He is the owner of Jazzy's Cabaret, the founder of the UPN Network, Urban Professional Network. And Jason, I have been trying to connect with you since last year. I'm glad we finally pulled it together. So, Jason, thank you for joining me and welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. So, first, my first question to you is you really are like this modern day Renaissance man. That's what your bio says. You have done so much for the community and for the culture as a whole. So, when did that start in your life? When would you say the moment happened where you said, I'm a leader in the culture? What was that moment like for you? And when was it?
Great question. That was 2005. I was about 4 years into my career at AT&T, working on George Street, downtown New Haven. I was about 24, young, fresh 24. And when I looked throughout the city, I didn't see a lot of things that, appealed to me, my generation at the time. And there just weren't a lot of options to go out and interact and network and mingle with, people like myself of a diverse backgrounds. Downtown New Haven looked totally different, 15, 16, 17 years ago.
Hmm.
But there wasn't a lot of options for us to just, hey, I'm getting out of work. Let me go to a happy hour. I'm getting out of work. Let me go to a business professional event. Sometimes I had to go to Hartford. It just wasn't a lot in the whole state at that time. So I had a, kind of epiphany. I was like, look, you can be a part of the problem or you could be a part of the solution.
Hmm.
And I just chose to create. And that's how the UPN got started.
I love that. I love it. And mentioned New Haven being different 16, 17 years ago. You are from New Haven.
Yeah, I grew up in Fairhaven, moved around, grew up in the church in New Haven. So I've had close roots to New Haven since I was born. A lot of the Watts family, the Vaughn family, from New Haven. So we have a lot of ties here and a very, very big family.
What about college? Did you attend university?
I did for 1 year. So I took the Puff Daddy route. I went 1 year, and I enjoyed it. I was at Southern Connecticut State University, and I did my freshman year. Very fun, a lot of memories, and my godmother, who at the time was working for Southern New England Telephone Company (SNET), she was retiring soon, and she recommended to me that I should take a test to work at the phone company.
Hmm.
And here I am, 19 years old. I don't know nothing about the phone company. Um, my father worked there, and my older brother worked there as technicians, but I was just like, okay, I'll take a test. So I took the test, and I did good in the test, and that's history. That's it. Like, I got in the company. I was 19 years old. By 20, I was winning sales trips to Florida and being a top performer. So it was just something that I enjoyed, customer service, sales, marketing, and it really crafted a lot of my skill sets that I have today, just the
Nice.
corporate structure of things. And I learned a lot, and it has helped me in everything I do.
Because a lot of people may not even realize that you actually do have a full-time job. You own Jazzy's, you are doing all these events around town, but you actually still work at AT&T and you've established the network, or did they put you in charge of the network? Tell us about that.
So the network is really called Community Network, and they rebranded themselves. The network is an African American employee resource group for AT&T, and I became involved with that about 5 years into my career, and it was an amazing opportunity, and still is, for African American workers to connect with colleagues from across the country that work at AT&T. Professional development opportunities, mentorship, career path development, all that fun stuff. So I've been a proponent of the community network, aka the network, and about 4 years ago, I took a job with AT&T and based in New York City. I became involved with the chapter in New York and New Jersey. So over the course of time, I just stayed active, and then I um, I was elected president of that 2 years ago. So outside of working a day job, outside of operating Jazzy's Cabaret, and outside of hosting my UPN events and things, I'm also the president of the network for AT&T
That
for
is
the African American.
awesome. And would you say that your work within that organization, the network, is kind of what launched the UPN, the Urban Professional Network here?
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
it was separate. I did the UPN in 2005, so November's 18 years. So I had the vision to connect with people in my community and in my state and things like that before I was really getting involved in the corporate employee groups.
You froze out a little bit. I'm sorry. You said you connected with people in your community and state.
Yeah, I said that the UPN was first for me. That was 2005. So that was like I had that desire to connect with people
Mhm.
before I really got heavily involved with the AT&T employee resource group.
What about as a child, as a young man growing up here in New Haven? Did you have the desire to connect with people there? Then,
No,
what were your aspirations as a child?
I was laid back, pretty shy, pretty. I was very. I don't want to say introverted. I was just shy. I was just, I just wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't the life of the party. That wasn't my whole thing. I was just chilling, and I like to read. I liked art. I like to draw and stuff like that. And then I started making money, and then my interest started shifting a little. So that
You
was
are
that.
you still are very laid back, Jason. To have a conversation with you, you're very chill, very calm, collected.
Yeah, I'm not looking to, I'm not looking to show out anything like that. I'm definitely pretty relaxed.
Nice. Tell us about growing up here for you in New Haven. You mentioned your father and I believe a brother. Tell us, did you have any siblings and what was it like growing up here in New Haven for you?
Sure. I grew up I was born in 81. So I remember watching some video the other day about Video Soul on
Yes. Donnie
BET.
Simpson, yes.
Yeah, correct, correct. So honestly, I have so many fond memories of the late '80s, and I remember being in Fairhaven, and I have three brothers, two older brothers, one younger brother. I have a sister, Charnel, and some of my fondest memories are just growing up in the house with the entire family, and sitting around an old school TV watching uh just the shows, BET, Rap City, different things like that, and just
Mhm.
those are moments you can never get back. You don't
Absolutely.
realize it when you're young, you're adolescent, but those are some priceless times where you got your core family together, and then before you know it, everyone grows up and then they got their own house. So it was fun, growing up in Fairhaven, and just I had cousins that lived around the corner, going to the corner store. Just it was just it was a different time.
Yeah. And did you take some of that, the culture, that experience into your adulthood to add to the ambiance of where you are now with Jazzy's? I don't know if you've ever been to Jazzy's. I'm speaking to the listeners, but it's such a vibe, and you have that, like I mentioned before, cultured experience as soon as you walk in, all over the walls with the
Mhm.
the pictures of the artists. Is that because of how you grew up?
That's more because of, as I grew up, I became an adventurer. Out of I'm the child of the five that would call my mother and say, "Hey, you know, I'm in Colombia." I tell everybody, say, "Hey," or I'm in LA, or I'm in the Philippines. I'm doing this. I'm taking people to South Africa. Like, so, the
Wow.
experiences I've had throughout, my life have contributed to what you see in Jazzy's. I've About 2009, 8, I started taking people from the Northeast to Essence Festival in New Orleans. New Orleans, one of my favorite cities. So a lot of the bohemian eclectic vibes you see in Jazzy's, I take a lot of inspiration just from the music scene in jazz in New Orleans, um, just the blending of cultures and things like that I get from that city. And again, I like, for a time in my career, I worked in the Mid Atlantic with
Mhm.
AT&T. So I was in DC. I was in DC a lot, and I liked the vibe of how they had certain things. And I go to New York a lot for work, so I would go to Harlem, go to Brooklyn. So I just really took a lot of my experiences and blended them all together with my interests, like art, fashion, design, all that stuff. And that's where we came out.
Nice. Sticking with the theme of childhood, would young Jason be, I guess, impressed or shocked at where adult Jason has landed as far as your career? Or was young Jason pretty much already in the know of what was going to happen?
I guess I would say, my godmother, um, Deborah Pullen, Deborah Gentry Pullen, she instilled in me at a very young age to just shoot for the stars, and nothing was off limits. And she helped really tap into my creativity at a young age.
Hmm.
So I attribute a lot of my confidence, a lot of my passion toward her letting me do that at 5 years old and 6 years old when she had me. So it's I I wouldn't imagine when I was a kid that I would be here with all these different things going on.
Right.
Just wasn't on my radar, but I just kind of listened to my heart, listened to my that inner voice, and just do what I know to do.
And do what feels right.
Correct. Hmm.
And you were saying how the absence of like-minded individuals in the professional field is what led to the UPN Urban Professional Network. Take us a little deeper into that for those that are not familiar. Tell us in detail what it is and some of the things you've done here in New Haven.
So the Urban Professionals Network really is a social and business club for minorities. It wasn't just meant for Black people, 90% of the attendees are African American, but it was really meant to just bridge the gap and connect with people you didn't know.
Hmm.
A lot in your life can be affected by your network and who's around you, who's surrounded, who knows you,
Yes.
and all I wanted to do is accelerate that. So we held monthly networking events, quarterly. We've done so many things. Anything you can think of that involves social, business, we've really done it in the past, 17 years. And Jazzy's Cabaret was more of when the pandemic happened, it was more of a vision I had to just consolidate everything. I'm getting older. I'm not a young chicken no more. So can't run the streets and run across the state like I used to. So I said, okay, let me try to consolidate my things into one place so that I have more time for my family, my wife, my daughter Jasmine, and I'm not driving an hour to Hartford or going to Bridgeport. Then I'm coming, it's easier to just be in one place. So Jazzy's is the home base of the UPN. When you walk up the street and you see the UPN logo, I did that really to pay homage to um, the foundation of Jazzy's Cabaret. And a lot of people, when they drive by, or some people tell me, they say, "Man, I saw that logo up there, and I remember those UPN events and this." And now it's just all here downtown again, and it's pretty ironic. But our first UPN event was right around the corner on Crown Street.
Hmm.
November 25th, 2005. We created a UPN meet and greet event. That was our first event, and we had the who's who come out. Doctor, lawyers. We had the assistant chief of police out here in that event. We had people from all different organizations and corporations, and that really just started the foundation of what we were, and we've done so many things, since.
And you're expanding. Are you expanding into different markets?
Um, I kind of paused on that only because it involves really a really hardcore system of such. I have people all the time that say, "Hey, man, you need to do UPN events in Charlotte. You need to do them in, we need this. We need UPN in this part of the country."
Hmm.
But that's I guess that's more of when I'm retired or something where I can go help the next generation and even the generation after them kind of have a blueprint to kind of connect with the community.
That was actually one of my questions. So great segue into it. You've done so much already. What what would you like your legacy to be as you begin to focus on legacy? What's yours?
My legacy, I would want it to be that, I guess when I started the UPN, and it's funny that the first name of the UPN was CTUPN, our first website, www.ctupn.com. And that stood for Connecticut Urban Professionals Network.
Mm-hmm.
In 2005, that was where we were at. I said, okay, we're going to have a hardcore crew in Connecticut. Um, as time went on, I dropped the CT and it just became the UPN because we had a lot of people here and they started moving away, and then but they were still connected to us through the mailing list, coming to our events, traveling with us, doing things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, I wanted a more global. I had a global mindset, so we had our UPN brand go to South Africa. I took 20 people from the Northeast and we went there. We went to Cartagena, Colombia. So for me, I guess the legacy is that square logo you see, the UPN,
Mm-hmm.
that it's a household name throughout the country. Um, I remember living in Atlanta in 2012, 13. I'm flying home to one of my events I was throwing downtown New Haven, and I'm sitting next to a female, and she's flying to my party. She knew about the UPN
Wow.
event. I'm, coming from Atlanta, coming to New Haven. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, another time I was on Canal Street in New Orleans, walking down the street by myself, had my UPN shirt on, and this girl comes up to me. I get your emails. She recognized the logo. I get your emails, and here we are in Canal Street in Atlanta. I'm sorry, New Orleans. Um, I was in China, in Beijing at the airport, and through my networking through the years, someone's in the gift shop store looking at me, and I'm looking at them like, what's going on? And she recognizes me from something that we met in Florida. So I think we're accomplishing what my goal is which is to become, very connected and connecting people. And my ultimate vision really is to start what I call like the Elm City Renaissance, uh,
Hmm.
similar to the Harlem Renaissance in Harlem, New York. I feel like New Haven has so much potential. I feel like Jazzy's can be the epicenter of the culture in downtown New Haven with the amount of entertainment we offer, the amount of live bands, the amount of comedy, the amount of poetry, the amount
Yeah.
of, you know, brunches. Like there's so much talent, there's so much history, there's so much talented people in Connecticut,
Yeah.
and New Haven really to me is the heartbeat of the state. So I wanna I'm gonna be inviting certain folks together really to formalize, what I call the Elm City Renaissance, so that we can have that same type of energy that they had in Harlem, where the top of the top came together and made the community shine.
You definitely, as I mentioned already, your Jazzy's represents that already. It already gives that vibe. I
Mhm.
want to ask you because it seems that you have already done this, creating the lifestyle that you want, creating the life that you want. What would you say are some or the top three key essentials in creating the life that you want? what would you say to someone? Top three.
You, first and foremost, you got to have God. You got to have some sort of faith. Without that, there's some rough times ahead. So being able to be spiritually centered to me is important. It's not always easy to stay that way throughout the course of your life, but having that foundation, without God and without leaning into um, some sort of higher authority, you're taking a crack at it just as a human
Yeah.
without any type of divine intervention. And some people can get through and get through pretty well, but for me, that's faith is a big part of everything I do.
Hmm.
you know when I signed the lease at Jazzy's Cabaret, it was in a pandemic, and it wasn't, probably the most business decision to do for anyone, because we're in a pandemic still. It's not like things were calm when I signed the lease on April 2021,
Mm.
but I saw the transformation of downtown. I saw it. I saw the Square 10 development. I did the research on it. I saw the apartments going up. I saw what was coming, and I knew I had to take a chance with it. And it wasn't so much even for my own personal gain and for, like, oh, I'm gonna be this big club restaurant owner. Like, I don't care about none of, like, I don't do things for to be propped up on some pedestal or something, like, oh my god, he has this, he has that.
Right.
Will benefits come from that? Of course. But when I see families come in here 20, 30 deep, when I see proposals happen in front of me in Jazzy's, when I see people flying from across the country, meeting up with people here, coming from New York, having a good time. Shout out to Bob. I don't know if y'all know Bob Biden, but I thought he lived in New Haven. Uh, Very, very, very great poet from the city. And he had his birthday here, and he was leaving, and he had such a good time, to the point where, he had a very good time. He said, Jay, I had to, I told people I had to come to Jazzy's, because he remembers UPN. He remembers 15, 13 years ago, the hustle, the grind. And come to find out, he lived in Rhode Island. And I
Wow.
said, bro, you came all the way here from Rhode Island? He said, yeah, he brought his people here. And so that's important to me. Those memories and things, those are things that we don't, as a African American community particularly, have. We can't go downtown with 30 people and say, hey, we want to celebrate our auntie, our grandmother who turned 80.
Hmm.
We couldn't do that unless I'm wrong. Unless a place downtown that just welcome in 40, 50 people, and
No, sir.
you don't have to rent the place out.
Right.
So it's important to me to impact the community like that. The artists, the musicians, the bands, they're coming in droves to me because they don't have a place to play.
Hmm.
So we're becoming like a home for a lot of people, and that makes me feel really good.
And
Mhm.
that was one, being spiritually grounded.
Yeah, because
So
two is, I don't know, like, you have to have a plan, right? Whatever you're looking to do, you have to have a plan. Like, you have to draw it out. A lot of the things that I've done in my life, I've literally drawn. I like art,
mhm.
so I've drawn it out. When I did a big black tie event called the Winter Classic at the Omni Hotel right before the pandemic. I drew out every room. This is going here, that's going there. So draw out your plan, write it down, visualize it, so that you can help it come to fruition.
And three.
Um, three, you just gotta, I guess you gotta kind of expect resistance to things.
Challenges. Mhm.
Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to attack something that you're really passionate about, because those are the trailblazers. Those are the people. Those are the Elon Musk. Those are the innovators out there, the ones who failed. They've done something or did something audacious, and it may have failed, but if you keep fighting, you keep believing, you can change the course of that. So
I love
that's
that.
it. Hmm.
And the reason why I ask you, for personal reasons, when I here in New Haven, when I think of the term Black excellence and what that looks like, you always come to mind
I
because of what
appreciate it.
what you've put out, what you offer to urban professionals, to Black excellence. Even when you were just speaking about the black tie, you have a high standard for Black people, and it shows in everything you do, which is one of the reasons I wanted to sit and talk to you. But you mentioned art. If you love art, why isn't your art featured in Jazzy's?
That's a good question. And I figured once I started working in corporate America. Well, I'll go back before then. Um, Again, before I have a car, before I have a job, I'm home. I'm drawing, reading comic books, collecting baseball cards, reading Stephen King books. Like I like Stephen King. I like horror books, whatever. I'm doing, I'm just doing, just low key stuff, right? Fast forward to about, I don't know, 16 years old, get a job, working with my brother Dion at McDonald's in Hamden. Those are some fun times. Um, I get a job, you start to get a car, and then it just transitions.
Hmm.
So I I transferred my artistic talent into more of a real world artistic expression, if that makes sense.
Like a
You know,
curator, I understand.
through my events,
Hmm.
through different things like that. The visual art, I just paused it and I never unpaused it, if that makes sense. I still have ideas. I still see things that are very that every detail in Jazzy's is Jason. People come in here and say, "Hey, who interior decorated this?" or "Who did you pay?" or "How did you get all this?" That was me. That was me curating every look in here, and still doing it ongoing. So I don't really paint or draw per se anymore because over the time I just shifted all that into what I was doing with the network and things. But I would like to get back into that at some point so that I can express myself through canvas.
Nice. And maybe this is me throwing out ideas. Maybe even an art show. You have a wonderful space for that, and you do great things there.
Yeah, I'm connected to a good amount of black artists throughout the Northeast in Connecticut, and we just haven't gotten to it yet.
Hmm.
I want to do an art and wine night. There's a lot of black talent that has come through the city that we don't have many places to show their art. There's buyers, people who want to buy their art,
Hmm.
but so I'm gonna have that. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
It's coming. It's on the way. If you're just tuning in, this is Jason Watts. He is the owner of Jazzy's, and that's where I want to shift gears to. Jazzy's, tell us how it's going for those that are listening right now, thinking about opening a restaurant slash lounge. What are some of the challenges that you faced and when opening during a pandemic to what you're facing now? And then some of the high points of being a club owner or a bar restaurant owner.
Yeah, really, it's just not knowing what you don't know. That's gonna be the hardest part.
That's perfectly said.
Yeah, not knowing what you don't know. There's a lot of things. April is 2 years. April 1st is 2 years for Jazzy's, and
Wow.
we'll have some sort of fun celebration and anniversary type event. But honestly, I had to learn a lot of lessons in that first year. And my advice would be, whatever you're looking to open, whether it's a clothing store, lounge, bar, whatever you want to open, just go seek out advice in people faster than I did, because you could save a lot of money, you could save a lot of time, energy. Just be a sponge and find someone who's willing to help you and give you advice.
Nice. And would you be open to being that person for someone?
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
see that in you. You definitely will give back. Jason,
Hmm.
you are a married man. How many years now?
Wow. It's 2023 now. September would be 3 years.
Did you meet your wife here in New Haven?
No, she's from Stanford,
Okay.
and We actually met online on a dating app called Hinge.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Tell us about her a little bit. I'm nosy by nature, Jason. I get up in people's business.
It's all good. I don't mind. Morgan Watts is amazing. Without Morgan, Jazzy's would not be what Jazzy's is, and the support, she just like a soldier, a ride or die soldier on my side, and we have each other's back. Like we are each other's best friends. You know, we go out together, we have fun, we travel. God bless me truly with Morgan because she's we're just made for each other, right? It's just there's certain things that we just know we have to do and we do, and we don't even have to communicate, we just go into action, right?
That's wonderful.
And but yeah, she's a very fun person, very funny, very smart, intelligent. She's a commercial she's in the commercial insurance field by day, and she's growing very fast in that field. So shout out to Morgan, love you. And everybody comes to Jazzy sees her at some point because she's running around helping or doing things like that.
Nice. And the reason part of the reason I'm asking is because when you are married and you have businesses, you have to be in line on the same page with your spouse, your
Mhm.
partner, because there are times where you're spending more time with the business. So are you bringing that person with you or are they separate? You just explained she's side by side with you, helping you run it.
Yeah, it's she. I know we're learning to balance it more so
Hmm.
that we just don't live at work, you know. So it's a process though. It's something that once you're in it, it's like a whirlwind. You're in the middle of a tornado and it's just flying. You're going around, getting swung around, and then we've gotten better at just taking steps back and making sure we have time for the family, our
Nice.
you know Jasmine, and just doing normal things. Because when I first met her, there was no Jazzies,
Hmm.
so we had a different life.
Right.
So it's a big adjustment going from that to okay now there's a lot more things out here in the mix. So again, going into year two, we're getting much better at just delegating things, having people on staff that can replicate us, and that's the goal. So we're getting
Nice. And Jazzy's, tell us the backstory to the title, how you got the name for Jazzy's.
two reasons, I guess. I couldn't come up with a name with Watts. I love my family, right? And if I could have found a name that had Watts in it, to represent my family, I would have. But Watts doesn't flow off the tongue, and it just didn't. It didn't have nothing. And I'm a creative person. I couldn't find it. So I love music. I love jazz. A lot of my genres that I like, R&B, hip hop, they got all jazz elements, stuff like that. I love New Orleans, which is home of
Mhm.
jazz. So my daughter's name is Jasmine, and her short name obviously is Jazzy or Jazz. And I thought it would be a great way to honor the next generation and kind of that generational wealth and things like that for her to,
Nice.
at a very young age, see what a business is.
Mhm.
We've had it since she was 4. So now as she gets, she's 6 years old, turning 7 in April. She's learning more about responsibility. She comes in, she helps set tables. Like we need her help, right? So, and then
Nice.
she gets, her little allowance from helping and doing stuff. So it's exciting to see her and have her exposed to this. Whether Jazzy's is here for 3 years or 30 years, she got that exposure at a very young age, and when she grows up, she'll she'll remember that, she'll take from it. I got that same exposure from my mother, Sandra Watts, owner of Remember the Lilies Florist, who's
Nice.
a major supporter. A lot of the floral arrangements in here are from my mother, and I saw her cultivate, grow, and manage that business, for 15 years. So that was a major inspiration in continuing, the Watts legacy in the New Haven community with another business. So shout out to Remember the Lilies for all your florist needs coming up for Valentine's Day. So
Yeah.
had to give that little commercial in there for her.
Of course. And when you grow up in a household like you just mentioned where there are businesses, It's a little bit of a different structure than going to a regular job. You have the mindset now to when you grow up, that's exactly what you're going to do because that's what you see and that's what you know.
Correct. Who knows what Jasmine's gonna do when
Mm.
she's of age, but at least she has a foundation, and it's meant to inspire not just my daughter, but my nieces, my nephews, my a lot of what I do is for my family. So it's exciting to have them a part of it and support it, and you know help the next generation as they come up.
And both of their birthdays, Jasmine's and Jazzy's in April.
That's right. That's a good connection. That's good. Yeah.
I love it. So tell us what Jazzy's has coming up. Anything special nights?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, let me pull the calendar out. It's Valentine's week, so but the whole month we have some amazing events coming up. Shout out to Berdine's Afro Creole Night for all the Caribbean Haitians. Berdine is an amazing artist who brings a crazy live band from New York City. She'll be here on this Friday, the 10th.
Mhm.
Then we have um, Super Bowl Sunday. So a Super Bowl Sunday party for all the people who love Super Bowl football. They're going to we're gonna have a big party. Even though my team, the 49ers, are not in it, they should have been in it. We got gypped. Still gonna have a party for the Eagles and the Chiefs fans. So if you're an Eagles and Chiefs fan and you can come out, have fun. We got Dre Romero. Shout out to Dre Romero. A Love Jones experience coming. Poetry,
Ooh,
live band, DJs, everything on Valentine's night. Shout out to Miss Lena's birthday, all pink affair with Said Zion Smooth Jazz Band.
nice.
There are so many events coming. Sage Noel coming live on the 18th. The Men of Omega Soul Night is back at Jazzy
Wow.
on
Okay.
Sunday, President's Day weekend. Y'all remember when the Qs would come out back in the day? They're coming out strong on the 19th. Uh, God, we have my man Kenhead. He has Tropical Fridays every second Friday. Like
Wow.
we have so many events, it's not even funny. Rashawn Langley, shout out to my guy Rashawn. If y'all remember Monday nights in the city of New Haven, it's coming right back. So
I love that. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. So then I mean there's so many events. Michael Carabello, um, it is a lot of events.
Now, if someone wanted to host an event to do something at Jazzy's, how are they going to reach out to you? How do they do that?
You could just contact me at um 20, I'll give you my number,
Okay.
203 and then I'll put you in touch with our events manager. Or you can just go to jazzyscabaret.com, or the best place to go is upnevents.com. That's upnevents.com, and you can fill out a form and we will get you our events manager to contact you.
And then UPN, does the UPN or UPN have any events scheduled coming up as of now?
We do have a networking event, a Black History Month networking event coming up on Monday, the 27th of the last Monday of the month for Black History Month. We do have a very big networking event coming up.
And before I close, address and hours for Jazzy's.
We are open at 4 Orange Street, downtown New Haven, in the historic Ninth Square District on the
Yeah.
corner of George Street and Orange Street. There's plenty of parking, street parking. There's a parking lot across the street. And sorry, what was your other question? I forgot.
The hours and the address.
Hours. Right now, we're open Thursday through Sunday. Hours Thursday through Saturday are 5 to 1 a.m. On
Mm,
Sundays, we open for brunch from 1 p.m. to about 8 p.m. And we will be opening soon on Mondays.
nice.
And
Is
we
it
are open for private events. So anyone who wants to rent out Jazzy's, we had our first Sweet 16 2 weeks ago, and we do private rentals on the days we're not open. So again, you can contact us at 203 444 2509, or you can visit upnevents.com. That's upnevents.com.
And if you have not been to Jazzy's yet, let me tell you, it's such a vibe. Such a vibe. Um, no, I
Good
don't even
time.
want to ask that question. Jason, he's speaking to us right now from Jazzy's. He's at work, busy man. So I am going to wrap up. Do you have any final words before we close out?
No, just everyone who's come to Jazzy's, thank you for your support. We try our best to satisfy and make memories, but we really want to say on behalf of Morgan, myself, and Jasmine, we thank you. We You can choose many different places across Connecticut to support and give your business, but we truly, from the bottom of our heart, appreciate your support from the city. Continue coming in. If you have any ideas, if you are an entertainer, if you're a DJ, and you have creative ways to host events or you want to do something, we are very flexible and very easy to help program that event for you.
Nice. I love it. Jason Watts, owner of Jazzy's. You already know what he does and what he's up to. Keep us abreast of the Elm City Renaissance so we
That's
can
it.
know about
It's
that.
coming. It's
Looking forward
coming.
to it. Keep
All
it
right.
locked right here. It is WYBC, the Electric Drum. Join us next Sunday for another great conversation. But in the meantime, stay here. More music is coming in after the break. I am Wanda Coppage. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jason.